garden bright and early. I have to be at work in like an hour and a half, but I am hoping to plant the majority of our garden today. Earlier this week, I planted our tomatoes and our peppers because I got those directly from a seedling or a plant from a local farm. And I also installed the trellis. I will insert some clips from that right now. But we got the trellis installed. I got my plants put in. So I'm excited to plant my seeds, and I also have to plant some flowers today. So I'm going to share a little bit about how I planned my garden. So last year I did a spring garden just like I'm doing now, but we put it in the backyard, and our backyard does not get enough sun. And so I think I had like maybe 3 green beans that grew. So we moved one bed up front for the fall, and I was super successful with some carrots. So we went ahead and moved the other bed up front a few weeks ago. Then we installed the drip irrigation, which was in the last vlog. So we installed the trellis this week, and now it's time to plant. So I've been doing a lot of research on planting a garden. And there are 2 books that I have found super helpful. So the first one is this one, Kitchen Garden Revival. And this one just kind of helps you set up the garden and plant it. And then the next one that I have found super helpful is Leaves, Root, and Fruit. And this is by the same author. They're a good pair. And this one helps you plant like each specific plant. So those are what I've been using. I've also been using this same author. She has a garden planner. So I have my layouts right here, and I will show you that. So here are my 2 layouts. I kind of had to flip-flop some things after I installed our trellis because it wasn't exactly where I thought it was going to be, but it ended up being like this. So I put in the 2 tomato plants, and then I planted all of these peppers earlier this week. So today, right now, I'm going to plant the border. So I'm going to plant a bunch of flowers around the border just for pest control and pollination. So I'm going to do that right now. And then I also have to get all of our seeds planted. So I have to plant lettuce greens, green beans, carrots, more lettuce, zucchini. I'm going to do bush green beans too. Never done those, but excited about that. More greens. This is zucchini and squash. I just didn't have a picture of a squash on Canva. We're going to attempt carrots. It might be too late, but we eat a lot of carrots. I'm going to try it anyway. Cucumber and more greens. So this morning I'm going to try to get the flowers in the ground before I go to work, and yeah, we'll go from there. So here are the clips from installing the trellis. We got a 16-foot cattle panel from Tractor Supply, and we had them deliver it for us. I will link the one we got below. And then we just use, I think they're called T-poles or T-stakes, and put them in the garden. And then Grayson and my dad installed it, and they just put it up against the stakes and added zip ties to keep it steady. Make sure if you're doing this, you get weatherproof zip ties so it doesn't disintegrate in the rain. And here's the finished product. The flowers I picked are zinnias, which I do have a butterfly garden where I plant them from seed, but I got some for the garden beds too. And then marigolds, both are really good for pest control and pollination, so I'm just going to plant those around the edges of the beds. We have our supervisor, but I'm not going to let her out. Sometimes I'll let her out in the yard, but Grace is not home, so she's going to stay put because she will sometimes try to escape. Hey, Aspie! I laid them all out. I'm leaving this side right here empty because the bush beans will trail over the edge. And then we're gonna leave a space right here and over there because squash and zucchini can trail over the edge too. So this is what we're working with. I'm gonna try to get these in the ground. Sunday now. So first of all, I'm so sorry if you hear thunder. It is storming here today. Yesterday did not go how I was planning, not in a bad way. So I got up, I planted the flowers as you saw. I did that before work, then I went to work. And then after work, it was a super pretty day yesterday. It was like 80 degrees and sunny. So we went to the beach with friends, and then we ended up last minute deciding to go to dinner. So I did finish planting all of our seeds, but I did it in the dark because we're getting thunderstorms today. So I wanted to go ahead and do it before it rained. But then also we're going out of town on Wednesday. So I wanted to make sure I got them in the ground because we're going to be gone for like 4 days. By the time we get back, it's just, time's going to get away from me. So I went ahead and planted our seeds. So right now I'm just closing up my seed packets, storing them, but I'm just gonna show you what I planted. So first, we did some squash. Last year, I planted squash from a transplant and it was not successful. So we tried some squash. So I think I planted 3 squash plants because they take up a lot of space. So I did some squash. And then what are these? Some pole beans, so green beans, and we planted this along the side of my trellis. Last year I didn't have a whole lot of luck with these, but I think they just didn't get enough sun. So got some pole beans, radishes. This was kind of a last minute decision to plant some radishes because I had some extra space in the bed. We are not the biggest radish fan, but they're super easy to grow and they can be good with ranch on a salad. So I had a packet of seeds, so I went ahead and planted these. Then we planted some zucchini, same as the squash. They take up a lot of space, so I think I only planted like 3 plants. But excited about these. We like to sneak zucchini into a lot of things. So planted some zucchini. We planted some bush beans. We planted these along the edge of one of the beds because they can kind of trail over. So now I have 2 different varieties of green beans. We are a big green bean household, so I'm excited to see how these turn out. And then I planted some cucumbers. I planted 2 cucumber plants up against our trellis. Not sure how these are going to turn out. We also have an option to buy them as a transplant. The farmer where I bought the rest of my plants from, he's going to have cucumbers. So if these don't germinate, I might end up buying a couple plants. But I like to eat cucumbers with like chicken salad and stuff in the summer. So I'm hoping these turn out. And then lastly, I planted some carrots. So it's honestly a little, probably too late to plant carrots. The back of the seed packet says I can plant them till May, but they like 60s, and we're kind of in the phase where we have 60s for maybe like 2 or 3 more weeks, and then we're gonna go into 70s and 80s. So we'll see, but we eat a lot of carrots. I had a really successful carrot harvest in the fall, so I'm hoping they turn out. So we'll see how that goes. I also, I just forgot this. We planted arugula too, but I used the whole packet. So I didn't store it or anything, but we planted arugula too. So there's that. And then I also bought a bunch of flower seeds because I also plant a butterfly garden or a cut flower garden in the summer. Last year it was so pretty. I was so happy with how it turned out. So I went ahead and bought my seeds when I bought my veggie seeds. So I got a couple different kinds of zinnias. So I got Mixed Colors, State Fair Giant, Thumbelina, and California Giant. And I think I have like 2 or 3 packets left from last year. I think it might be in here. We have from last year a wildflower mix. So I might plant those somewhere. Butterfly bush. I have one of these already that I bought from the garden center, but I think the frost got it, so I might have to plant one. Then I have a mini zinnia mixture from last year, so I'll sprinkle these out too. And then I also bought Mexican sunflower seeds. These are from last year, but I also bought another packet. I did not have any luck with these last year. I planted a whole row of them and not a single one came up. So we're gonna try it again this year because they're really pretty. My mom planted them. She didn't have any luck last year either. She actually ended up with one and it was super pretty. So we're gonna try it. I don't know. And then I got the American Giant sunflower. So these get giant. Obviously with the name, I think it says up to 16 feet. So I probably will put this in my butterfly garden. I'm not sure. If I do, I'm obviously gonna have to keep it cut, but we got a sunflower. So those are all the seeds that I got. And now I'm going to go back in my garden planner, and I ended up planting things a little bit of a different order than I thought I would, like a different layout. So I'm gonna go in and adjust my layout plan to put in my planner so I know where everything is. So this is how it turned out. So I planted arugula down one side, the short side of the trellis. Then I planted 2 tomato plants, 2 cucumber plants, and then I planted carrots up alongside the trellis, up against the tomatoes. And then I planted zucchini, and then I planted some bush beans down the side of the bed, and then I planted flowers all around the edge. And then the other bed, I planted zucchini up against one side. Then the trellis is right here. Then I planted pole beans all along that trellis, bell peppers down the middle, radishes by the bell peppers, and then just any leftover arugula seeds that I had down the side. Hello, I just came out to do a quick water of the garden, and we have some things sprouting up. So I am going to edit and close this video tomorrow, but I thought I would go ahead and add this little bit since we planted. So let's see what we got. So first we have some cucumbers coming up. When I planted, I read that you were supposed to plant 2 seeds because a lot of times they don't germinate, but 2 came up there and I see 1 coming up here. So that's exciting. I had all of my cucumbers germinate. Right here I have something coming up. I think this is a bush bean. See if it'll focus. Yep, looks like that will be a bush bean. I think that's where I planted those. I need to go back and check, and I need to get some labels. This could also potentially be a squash / zucchini because I planted it right here and this is right here. So we will see what that is when it comes up. Then over here we have lots of little arugula sprouts. Lots right there. More of those over here. And then right here we have 2 little baby green beans. Oh, 1 more came up. I noticed those other 2 yesterday, but 1 more came up today. It's a super sunny day today, so they probably love the sun. I've actually lost 2 pepper plants. Apparently they get top heavy and fall over, and we were gone for a couple of days and they probably just blew away. So I need to go get some supports for those. But I have 4 pepper plants, so I'll add some more. And over here I have a squash or a zucchini. Not sure which I planted in this bed. I will find out. But the other ones haven't come up yet, so hopefully they will come up later this week. Also, just look how pretty these azaleas are. So pretty. I almost took them out when we moved in because we had a massive freeze when we moved into our house 2 years ago, and I thought it killed them and they looked horrible, but they are just so pretty now. Our lemon tree is also blooming, and we have lots of baby blueberries. These 2 blueberry bushes we actually got in Athens instead of down here, so they are a little behind because it's a little bit chillier in Athens than it is here, so hopefully these will catch up soon. So that is going to be it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I love planting my garden. It was not the greatest success last year, but I just love having control over what is put into my vegetables and knowing exactly where it came from. So I am super excited about this year. I hope it is going to go well. I'm super hopeful for it. So yeah, thank you for watching this vlog. I have some more fun videos in the works, and I'm excited to talk to you next. Bye.